Welcome back to another episode of the Bearcat Basketball Podcast. This is Season 2. I'm your host, Alex Meacham, former UC basketball player from 1997 to 1999 under the legendary coach Bob Huggins. I was fortunate enough to wear the iconic Jordan brand unis during my time. Now, you can follow me on social media. I'm on Twitter and Instagram at Alex_Meacham. Meacham is spelled Meacham. I'm also on Facebook and LinkedIn, Alex Meacham. I'm on Snapchat, Big Meach 41. And now, I can officially say this. On Season 2, I am now on TikTok, at Alex Meacham 41. This is a special edition of the podcast, my interview series with a very special guest.
Bearcat fans, I'm excited to welcome in this Bearcat great standout high school basketball player here in Cincinnati, Ohio for Summit Country Day. Played basketball for the Bearcats from 2013 to 2017 under Mick Cronin. He now does color commentary for the Bearcats. I'd like to welcome in my guy, Kevin Johnson. What up, KJ?
What's going on, big dog?
Man,
how you doing?
I'm doing well.
Absolutely.
No,
they don't even know, man. We go way back.
I've known you since you were a young fella playing AAU, just a little guy running around.
You know, and it's crazy because you still got the same team running around. That's good to see, man. That's good to see. It's good to have old guys like you and Jay and be able to teach young guys the good old stuff now.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, another thing that we go back on is during your high school days. You played for Summit. I went to Roger Bacon High School, and for those that don't know, Summit and Bacon had this big rivalry while you were in high school, and it was the rivalry happened because of the high school tournament. So, you know, Bacon and Summit would always meet in the high school tournament, and it was intense, man. And I remember those days of you playing, and you guys had a great team. Bacon had a great team, and you guys just battled it out. So during your high school days, KJ, tell us a little bit of you know, some of your great memories playing basketball for Summit.
So, man, to be honest, the Roger Bacon Summit rivalry was definitely fun. Always I think the regionals right there before you actually go up to Columbus. That was great, but the best moment by far is the state championship game. Actually, really going out there and winning a title. That was good, and it was funny because Antonio Woods was hurt, and you know it just was a long season. It's like, man, we got to pull this out. We here, and you know, for us to do it, that was a memorable moment. And you know, those still my brothers today.
Absolutely. So, what made you? So, coming out of high school, what made you decide on playing for the Bearcats?
You know, the crazy thing is, when I was actually going through the recruitment process, I was actually getting tired of dealing with all the coaches and calls and everything. But I had seen a couple schools, and you know, I ended up going to visit Cincinnati, and I ended up going to a game. And one of my first games was Cincinnati versus Alabama. I'm pretty sure that was like 2012, probably. And Cashmere Wright hit the game winner.
Mm-hmm.
It was electric in the gym. It was literally electric in the gym. And then that year on, I kept going to a lot of games, a lot of Big East games, and started to learn about the conference and the you know, just the play. And so overall, the experience, I'm like, man, it was hard to just pass up, you know, on my home school. And I ended up going, man. The culture was me. The culture was definitely me. So I enjoyed every bit of it.
And I have to say this. I have to ask how your father is doing, because I've known your dad for years. always watched your dad along your side while you were playing basketball. How's Pops doing?
Oh man, he's good, man. You know, he's good, man. Working and you know, I got a son now, so he's getting ready to get on you know, my son's nerve as he grow up.
Just like he did you.
yeah, it's his time. So yeah, man, he's good, man. And I appreciate it. I've been telling you asked about it, man.
Yeah, please do, man. Please do. Pops is a cool dude, man. I know he's somewhere chilling, got the shades on, he dressed to a T. I know he is.
You know he is.
Yep, no, for sure. Now tell everybody what you're doing now that your basketball career is over. What are you doing now?
Now, man, on the career side, I actually work for Greater Cincinnati Behavioral Health Services. I do some case management with mental health, which is good, man, for my community. Then on the side, I coach over at Summer Country Day. I'm the JV head coach, but I also run like my little training program out of there as well through the off season. So always in the gym with the guys. And then now I work with Dan Hoard with 700 WOW, calling the games with UC on the radio. And then my latest offer was doing some color analysts with the ESPN Plus games with Cincinnati this year. So just kind of all the way around the board, just learning and growing, doing some cool things with the game still, which I'm very proud to be. And, you know, some that's fun for me.
Quickly back to your coaching back at your alma mater at Summit, man. How cool is that you're able to go back and give back to the school that gave a lot to you?
Oh, man, that's good. That's good. It's been good because when I got there, you know, I've seen the program down. It's getting back up, and just to be a part of something cool, just to show the culture and what it stands for, so guys understand that they're playing for more than it's just them. But it's awesome, man. I enjoy it. I enjoy it. And they're my guys.
Yeah, and that's cool when, you know, these kids can look at one of the greatest players to ever play at their high school is back coaching. So when you talk, they better listen because you could point to some pictures and some banners on the wall and say, look, I've been there. You got to trust me.
Yeah. And it works, man. They're great guys. And, like I said, man, they're getting better. They're getting better.
Good. Your broadcasting. Now, your broadcasting career, how did you get into it?
You know, man, it's kind of crazy because it all started with radio. You know, it all started with radio. So, you know, when I'm getting frustrated at the time about basketball at the time, and I'm like, you know, I really want to make this next step here, but I'm trying to figure out what I like and, you know, what I want to do. So I actually reached out to Coach Crum. So he was like, you know, man, you know, honestly, kid, you talk well. Like, you should actually call Andre. So Andre was like, you know, the media guy who, you know, kind of dealt with setting up the interviews and things of that nature. So I reached out to Andre. Andre was like, man, I told you, you know, one day, you know, whenever you needed me, I will have something for you. And he ended up reaching out to Dan and Solana WOW. And they gave me an opportunity to do, like, I think 4 games the first time. And I naturally just responded well. And then from there, just kept continuing to get better, learning behind the scenes of everything. And now, you know, building some trust with that, I got a cool opportunity to do some TV for ESPN Plus now. So that's been good to learn behind that as well.
How's it to learn from, you know, one of our GOATs, Dan Hoard?
Oh, man, Dan is the man. Dan, you know, just to see in depth behind the scenes how, you know, how he sets up everything, how he already does his homework. There's a lot of things that goes behind the scenes with Dan, and you're just learning from that angle. You learn some tricks and trades. And, man, he's awesome. He just teaches me other things too, just production wise, and, you know, cues and cards and just anything about the business. Man, it's just good to be around somebody like Dan. He's a good guy.
And also Mo Egger. You called a game with Mo the other day. I'm sure you learned a lot. Mo's journey's been awesome to watch too.
Yeah. We talked about his journey. It was the first time I really worked side by side with him like that. Normally Mo was over there with the, dealing with the production and everything. But, man, Mo's awesome. He's also legendary pretty much. Been in the game for 20 years. You know what I mean? It's just good to be able to learn the little tricks and trades, honestly, behind the scenes stuff and how things works, and just general knowledge that I think it beats going to school for it. Honestly, it's just a cool opportunity.
Mm-hmm. And also, shout out Terry Nelson. Terry's going through a lot right now with his family. If you want to talk about that real quick.
Yeah. No, Terry is my man. Like, shout outs to Terry. That's my big dog. But yeah, his family was going through some times here, so definitely prayers to them. But they have recovered. Everybody doing well. When I had talked to him, but Terry is just very supportive and being able to and really provided the opportunity within telling them like, nah, you can trust him, he's good. And I appreciate Terry. That's my guy. And he always lets me know, you're getting better. Continue to do this, and that's the good part.
Yeah, Terry's the triple OG of the Bearcat family. Yeah. He's just that guy that kind of holds the glue together of all of us.
Yeah.
And like you said, his family was going through some things. They had a fire at their apartment in Atlanta, and Terry started a GoFundMe page to kind of get the family back up and going. And just amazing how Bearcat Nation really stepped up. And I think it's a tribute to not only Bearcat Nation, but also, Terry as a person. I think the original GoFundMe was $25,000. They reached $25,000 just very, very easily. And then they raised the goal to 50, and they were just moving up on that quickly. And so if anybody's out there listening that wants to help, Terry and the family, you can go onto his Facebook and different social media pages and help with his GoFundMe. And I know that would mean the world to Terry. Now, I want to jump into, KJ, if you could talk about the transition from, you're a big-time high school basketball player. You go and play for your hometown, college team, and you guys had a very, very good team, multiple teams that were very good. And, you dabble in playing professionally. And I find a lot of players struggle to transition out of playing basketball to life after basketball when the ball stops bouncing. How did you deal with that? Was it a struggle? And how did you deal with just the transition?
Yeah, no, that's the biggest. It's the hardest thing. And to be honest, it's a journey. It was definitely a journey. But I took it a step at a time about figuring out what I was trying to do. But also just not being afraid to just go out on a limb sometimes and try different things. But at the same time, I think networking also helped, and I think going to Cincinnati and being a good person while being there, just being there for the right reasons. When I reached back out to a few people, they were willing to give me an opportunity there for the media, and then just on the career side, just networking through family and friends who work, and got me a solid job that provides well for me, and things just kind of get to rolling, and get involved in coaching, and stay close to the game, which always keeps our athletes happy. But I think it's something that as an athlete to the next person, always be willing to open up and help people, for the transition. But it is definitely challenging at times.
Yeah, no, some players really struggle with that. And, I've had several conversations with former players while they were playing for the Bearcats. And I'm like, listen, the ball is going to stop bouncing sooner than later. Like, you could go play pro in the NBA or overseas, But at some point, that ball stops bouncing, and you have to have a transition plan of, okay, here's the next step. And you really have to think through that and look at your branding and how you branded yourself. And one thing I will say about you, KJ, is if you go back and you just kind of look at your history, great player at Summit. You did a great job at the University of Cincinnati. You were never a problem. You were, you could count on KJ in games, lockdown defender. You kind of represented the type of person that this city, embodies. So when you do look for opportunities in the city for jobs and things, you've built up that resume to where people go, you know what, we could hire KJ. We want KJ a part of what we're doing because we've seen his body of work.
Exactly, and that's where it starts. If I could tell, all athletes while playing, it's hard to think about a transition plan when you're playing because you're all in. And when you're really playing, you believe in that you go into the NBA and you're gonna make this money.
Right.
I tell any player you're supposed to think that. You know what I mean? That's what keeps you going. That's what keeps the drive alive in you, and that's why you truly playing when you get to that level. So, but at the same time, just as you're going through this process and you're living this fun life while you got the fans and they love you, just be good. Just be good and enjoy the moment because the moment does go fast. You realize when you get to like a pro level, it's not always so much about the whole winning thing. Money gets involved. It's about, a few egos and, money and agencies, and, get real deep there. So, you got to understand, man, be all in, but be nice to people because when it does stop, but you never know when, you want to be able to know people trust you, be a good person.
And you know what, we can take a look at an example right now in college basketball. Keontae Johnson, who plays for the Florida Gators, he was preseason SEC Player of the Year. They were talking about him being drafted at some point in NBA draft, and he collapsed in a game. And I from what I hear, he's most likely done for the season. And who's to say he's able to play, again, depending on what this heart condition, happens for him. I don't know medically what that means, but your career could end at any point, KJ, and you have to be prepared. And like you said, being good.
And that's just sad, man. But my thing is when you're a good person, things will work itself out. You just gotta just grind. You figure out how to use that same basketball grind and apply it to another form of something that's going to work out for you. It's just not the actual game of basketball, but you can apply the same rules and the same focus and effort.
Yep.
And I think things will work itself out.
Well, let's talk about. I do want to ask you a couple questions regarding your career at UC. We talked about why you picked UC. During your time in your 4 years at the Bearcat, when you look back at your career, how do you look at your career?
Through ups and downs, you always look back and you say, overall I was a winner, and I was a part of a great experience for 4 years. You know what I mean? Truly, you can't be upset at it. I look back and I'm like, man, we won a lot of games. I got to play against a lot of great players. Made shots, been on the big stage, and I actually had an opportunity to go play some pro. And, overall, man, the relationship that you build while you're there, it lasts forever. So, the experience was for 4 years was one of the greatest experiences ever. You only go to college for these little moments. And, when I look back overall, it was a great experience.
Best story from your time playing for the Bearcats. Give Bearcat Nation your best story.
Well, I got a couple cool stories, but like one of the on the court stories that I always think about was like my freshman year when we going into Mexico, and man, the gym was so loud It was so loud. That was for some reason, out of my 4 years, I still feel like that was the loudest gym ever. The pit, that was crazy. That was the first time we really couldn't hear each other. And as a freshman out there, that was intense. That was probably one of the most intense games for me in my career.
Mm-hmm.
But another one is also the UConn game.
Yep.
To be a part of that game, the 3 overtime, that would be a historic one. To be able to hit that shot, and things didn't go the way. It's just now I'm older. You go back and look at it. It's fun to watch. Just fun to watch. You understand that's part of the game. But the coolest day I can say is when most of the stuff happened off the court. Just the relationships I built with my teammates. Troy Copain, and Kane Bloom, and Jacob Evans, certain people that we just hung out. Now today we are friends. And a lot of us stay in touch with each other. So I think that's the greatest thing you get out of the whole experience, just the brotherhood.
Well said. Let's jump into this Bearcat basketball team right now. And man, there's so much to discuss. And I think, KJ, there's a better team there than what we're seeing on the floor. And we need to, in this discussion, we need to talk about, some of the concerns with this basketball team, and then also how do they fix it? How do they fix these things? So just looking at the games they've played thus far, and you've called, a lot of the games, so you're watching very intensely. Do you think that not having not only a preseason with workouts, some early season games, do you feel like that's hurt this team?
Oh, 100%. 100%. I mean, you don't get to pre-rec anything out. You jump right into game action, really jumped right into a tough schedule. It's been times, first 4 or 5 games or, games that you are supposed to win so you can figure things out. It's tough now, and I give the players a lot of credit because you got to adjust immediately. You don't even have a lot of practice time to even figure this whole thing out. So
for sure,
it's tough. So people have to be patient with what's going on. With 6 new players, with that 6, 7 new players, can understand, man. It's going to take its time. You only got 2 real vets on the team now. So, I think these kinks will work itself out, but that is a very huge problem. But it's been a problem for a lot of teams across the country.
No question.
But that is playing a factor with this year's team.
And if you look at it, KJ, the competition they've played thus far, from Lipscomb to Xavier, and I think Xavier's a better basketball team than a lot of people thought. Furman's good. Tennessee, number 12 in the country. Georgia's, they played a very good schedule for not really having a lot of reps like you talked about. If you go back and look at your freshman year, you guys have an opportunity to kind of work some kinks out on the floor. Looking at the first 7 games that you guys played as a freshman, North Carolina Central, North Carolina State, App State, Campbell, UMass Lowell, Kennesaw State, and South Carolina Upstate. All of those games you guys won, but that's competition that you guys should beat, but you're able to work through some of those kinks. And this basketball team just has not had that opportunity. And then you go on to play, like you said, the New Mexico game, which you guys lost that, and Xavier you lost. But I think those 9 games, the 7 you won, the 2 you lost, really you guys learned a lot and then went on, 17-game winning streak.
Exactly. Now, I will say after that Xavier game, after we took those losses, now I will say it comes down to sometimes leadership and, your main guys being really ready to make a stand and make a change, because after Xavier, I remember that, that year the singers were SK, Titus Rubus and Justin Jackson. They made a stand that day that from that point on, there was no more losing.
What was that locker room like after that Xavier game?
Say that again.
What was that locker room like after that Xavier game?
Oh man, that was heated up. Coach was heated up. The seniors was heated up. It was heated up. And I'm not joking. Like, I'm serious. That's why we won 17 straight. It was like a real live pact made that day. And if we did not do that, it was going to be a lot of problems. So, like, at the same time, we made some adjustments, but I think it came down to players coming together. This team also has to figure out, it's got some leadership got to step up here and bond together, really, really, really figure this thing out. And, the goal got to just be win at this point. I think the rest is going to work itself out.
Now, you just talked about, SK and Rubles and those guys get up and really, show their leadership skills and get after everybody after the Xavier game. Who's going to be that guy for this Bearcat team? Because this Bearcat team has lost 4 games in a row, 2-5 right now. Who's going to be that guy or guys that step up and hold other players accountable so things can get changed around?
I would think Keith Williams. I would think Keith Williams and Chris Vogel were just a part of a conference-winning team.
Yep.
Here last year. I mean, they've seen some success. They've been through some war rooms, and it's their year. So at the end of the day, this is their year. When you're a senior, it's always your last year. It's pretty much your team. So you need to, really get them together. But with new players, I know it can be kind of funky sometimes because everybody is new to each other, and then also with the pandemic, you haven't really been able to bond closely. Everybody kind of in their own bubble, so it's just a lot to balance out. Now that they're in, you got to figure out a way. That's all I believe. You got to figure out a way.
So, okay, we're 7 games into this. This team has, almost a week off or whatever it is before they play Tulsa on January 2nd. So there's a lot of things that they need to figure out as a basketball team. KJ, what are your 3 biggest areas of concern right now for this basketball team that they need to address during the week leading up to Tulsa?
Watching them last night, I've seen a lot of improvement. I still need to work on defense. So overall defense, I think. But with that being said, I think offensively, they need to run with their kind of pace. I think with Chris Boat, we should be more half court, slow it down. I think we turn it over too much. So I think we can control the game better offensively, less turnovers, and more half court and use the big a lot more. Then that will transition into defense, continuing to just get better on defense, keeping the ball in our chest, not getting backdoor a couple when we do, making sure our health there will be more the second thing. And then the third thing, like I say, just leadership, just team camaraderie.
Yeah.
Just coming together like, we got to win. We got to win because we're Cincinnati. We've been on top of the league. This bigger than us. It's not just like we just Cincinnati. I played for Cincinnati 4 years ago.
Now you mentioned defense, KJ. I want to really touch upon that because you being the prolific defender and playing on some great defensive teams. This team, and if you go on Twitter, which is not always a good thing to do during games, but when you go on Twitter, a lot of people are saying, hey, this Bearcat team defensively shows like no heart. They don't have the past, pedigree of Bearcat basketball toughness. So what do you see defensively, and what are some of the problems, and how can they fix it?
The main thing I always wonder is scouting report. I know when I played, scouting report was a big thing. It didn't matter if we had 1 day or 7 days to get ready for something. Scouting report was very extensive. You needed to know what to do as far as our defensive plan and scouting report. When I looked at the game last night, Mahan, who come in averaging 20, he still scores 25. I know in the game plan somewhere, the plan had to be don't let him get 20.
For sure.
They probably won't win. But, sometimes I wonder if there's scout report or we're not just following the scout report. I think that's what made us or me a great defender, and then some of our teams great defenders. Just because we just paid attention to scout report. If guys shot and we knew they could shoot off the dribble, we're closing up. If they go by us, then we'll take that. You know what I'm saying? It's just balancing out the game with the scout report. And I think they'll get better defensively. It's hard for me to believe that they don't have the toughness. I think as Bearcat fans for the last, how long Colonel was here, 11, 12 years, however long it was, the fans are just used to that style of basketball. It's just a different style of basketball now that you just got to get used to and familiar with. But I think they are being tough enough. I think he'll get the guys together to do it. I just think the guys got to come together and just do it for each other and not worry about the whole, points and everything, but more so just winning.
And I think there's two things I noticed with this basketball team. One, I come from a defensive background with Bob Huggins, and when I watch this basketball team, I personally think in the half court, this team will always be a average half court defensive team. Like, I think they'll improve, but I think they'll be average. I think where they can, really make some strides is being able to pick up full court and pressuring, because, you got a lot of quick guys, you got some long guys. I think, that full court press, once they kind of figure that out, that can help defensively. But the problem is, a lot of times when you press, you got to make shots. You got to get buckets to get set up in that. Offensively, did you see progress last night against UCF? And what are some things that you would like to see improvement-wise on offense?
Like what he talked about yesterday, which I really thought was good, was everybody learning their roles, really knowing their role. And I think that's what you kind of figure out with exhibition and all of that. But without those pre-games, I think people are still figuring out their roles. I think last night they looked as is. They were starting to figure out some of the roles. So it starts to go in sync a little bit more. But I think perimeter shooting is a thing that they could improve if they start to increase the perimeter shooting percentages. It'll open up a lot, and that way you can play through Vogt a lot more. The last few games they haven't been able to play through Chris Vogt, and honestly, they got to be able to get the ball in the half. I think that's success for them offensively as well.
So, if you go back and you really look at these 7 games, the one thing that really sticks out to me is, besides the Georgia game, you could say the Bearcats were in every one of those games towards the end. And lack of execution is what lost those basketball games. And I think that goes back to what you were talking about in leadership, because when you get towards the end of the game, you're in the trenches, your leaders have to step up. But the problem is, as you talked about Keith and Vogt being leaders, these guys are in foul trouble. They're not on the court, and that has been a problem. Now, Keith did play 29 minutes last night. Vogt still has issues. He only played 19 minutes on one shot last night. Address a little bit with the foul trouble that these guys have had, and what they can do to improve to make sure they're on the court to help us win.
And that's the thing. They got to get better at understanding, when the foul and when not the foul. I think the fouls that's been hurting them are the charges, offensive fouls. And those are the ones, you wish you could get back. And I saw yesterday, a few times Keith Williams avoid the charge. You know what I mean? And I think he still might have got one called on, but I saw a few times yesterday them actually trying to avoid charge.
I think
that's one thing. And then like yesterday also what I thought is they could have did a lot better was getting the ball down to Chris Vogt. I think the big fella works his butt off to try to get it. And when he gets it, it puts a lot of pressure on the defense. He's capable of making it in there, and, you know, he does pass it out when he doesn't have anything. So I think that'll be a key thing. But also Dave DeJulius, I think offensively was attacking the rim, and that also helped as well throughout the game for him.
Like you said, we've got to find a way to keep Chris on the floor and be more productive. I mean, last night, 19 minutes, 1 shot, 2 rebounds,
Sure.
just ain't going to cut it. And to really think about it, KJ, you've got Chris Vogt, who's not producing, not playing a lot of minutes. Keith, obviously, I thought last night he produced well, 19 points, 10 rebounds. However, they're still in games at the end with their 2 seniors, their 2 leaders, not playing a lot of minutes. So I feel like there's a lot of hope here with this team, whereas, you know, Bearcat Nation on Twitter has kind of resigned to the fact that this team's not going to be very good all year. It's a wash. Well, I think otherwise. I think there's a better basketball team there. What are your thoughts?
No, it's definitely a better basketball team there. The team is there. You understand there's a lot of circumstances they are up against. And they just got to figure out the kinks. Like I said, they're figuring out roles. They're figuring out what's the best way. But you know, you just got to adjust as this thing goes. I think fans just got to be patient and let the conference play itself out. See what happens.
Speak a little bit on Tari Eason and what you've seen thus far. I know he only played 10 minutes last night, was in foul trouble, but you know, after the Xavier game, he had a chance to start and get some extended minutes, and really took advantage of that. And when I watch Tari Eason, I see a veteran calm about his game, and man, he's like a Bearcat of the past. Thoughts on Tari?
Yeah, when I did radio last night, I made actually a comparison with Tari and Gary Clark, because he actually starting off with like a Gary Clark kind of freshman year here.
Mm-hmm.
Tari coming in yesterday was averaging 7 and 5, playing very well. He's pretty explosive around the rim, can dribble, and plays within himself. Like you said, he's very, very calm with his pace. He'll be good as he continues to grow. And like I say, yesterday it's just learning for him defensively. He does have to improve defensively. I think that's just focusing more on scout report and being a little bit more aware with a little bit of effort. But he still produced yesterday with the minutes that he played. So that's how I know he actually is very productive out there. I think he can be really good. He's more of a traditional Bearcat, you know, just plays hard and does all the little things as well as and exciting things like dunking the basketball all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So he'll be a fan favorite as he continues to grow.
And you talked about production, and I think one of the players that's been the MVP of this team prior to going to that UCF game, I know he struggled with cramps towards the end of the game, but Jeremiah Davenport, you know, coming off the bench. I know Bearcat fans are screaming for Jeremiah to start, but there sometimes is something to a guy coming off the bench, i.e. a Lou Will with the Clippers that comes in and brings that production off the bench. Thoughts on Jeremiah thus far?
Man, Jeremiah is awesome. And, you know, for him to be from here, he just reminds me of me in a lot of ways. Just a Cincinnati guy. It's the kind of hooper you get here. Just, you know, energy, always want to win, does the little things. And now he's just learning his shot and learning how to find his way to score with this unit. And that's what I'm saying about everybody finding their roles. I think it's starting to become a thing where I think they want him to score as well. And I think he's figuring out his perimeter shot. But he does all the small things that you love within a guy. And he's just a traditional Cincinnati guy, and I love Jeremiah as well. But even coming off the bench and playing a 6-man role is just as important as any starter. Because, you know, after that first, you know, media timeout, second media timeout, when you want to sustain or go up, to be able to trust a guy to come in the game and give you everything that you need, so you don't have a drop off, is also valuable to team and game plan and the things of that nature.
Yeah, and he doesn't start, but yet he plays starter minutes. So there's something to that. And I don't think you always have to have the 5 best players starting. You need an ingredients for those first 5, and then your guys coming off the bench have to give you something. And speaking of that, we're starting to see Zach Harvey turn the corner. Zach's coming off the bench, played 24 minutes last night, 15 points. Starting to really see him, start turning the player that a lot of Bearcat fans were hoping to see.
Yeah, Zach Harvey, if I'm not mistaken, was highly recruited out of high school as well. And, like I said, when we talked to Coach Brennan last night, just him finding his way as well. I think the young guys, and I was a young guy before as well, just trying to figure out what your role is. You feel like you can do all these things. The team only needs you to do a thing or two. I think just figuring out what's the best thing for him. But what I also want to say, he figured things out offensively. I think defensively he still is figuring things out, and I think that's why, you see the inconsistency there. But him coming alive is great offensively for the Bearcats. They'll need that. I think they can keep improving defensively. He'll be on the court a lot.
Yeah, big time. And so with Zach Harvey starting to step up and play a little better, I know that Rapp's struggling. Chris is not playing a lot of minutes. A lot of folks are saying this team needs to play more small ball. They need to be faster, play more small ball, be more athletic. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I saw a glimpse of it last night that I think worked really, really well. Coach believed that that they had to go match up that way because that's how UCF matched up. So I think we'll see it depending on the matchups. I do think Chris Vogt, though, if they feed him the ball and slow it down while he's in the game, he'll be very effective on both ends. And then I think a little bit of small ball would also be effective as well.
Now, we've talked a lot about players, schedule, the in-game situations. I do want to talk about Coach Brannon. And what I want to bring up about Coach Brannon, I think he's not only a fantastic person, but I think he's going to be an excellent coach, for the Bearcat basketball program. However, fans are so quick to want to fire a coach and bench a player. We've seen it in the past. Mick Cronin's first 2 years weren't great. They wanted to fire Mick right away. Obviously, Mick wasn't fired. They gave him time, and he had a lot of success. Look at Des Ridder. Des Ridder at the start of the football season, a lot of fans after the first 3 games wanted him benched. And Fickle goes, no, that's my guy. He's going to improve. And Des turns everything around, ends up Conference Player of the Year, one of the best, football seasons ever. And Des Ridder's going to go down as one of the great senior football players in UC history. But a lot of people gave up on him after 3 games. People wanted Mick fired after a couple games. And I'm hearing that about Coach Brannon. I thought he did well last year with everything going on with, family and COVID. They were still co-conference champs. And they haven't started off these first 7 games very well. But I don't think you could really say this guy's not going to get it done. He needs to be considered to be fired. I think that's just jumping the gun and not giving the guy a chance.
Yeah, no, Coach Brennan, he's a good coach. Like I say, he's up against a different circumstance with 6 new players, 7 new players, a lot of them young. Even guys filling in roles this year really didn't have roles last year, so it's just a lot of adjusting without time. But that's part of it. I think that's what gives this everything fuel to the fire, a little animosity. Keep everything going. But Coach Brennan, he'll be able to get these guys going. I think it's just at this point you just got to have a little bit more leadership there from your 2 guys this year. I think the rest will work itself out. I mean, Mike Saunders and Tari Eason and Zach Harvey and Davenport, these are all guys that are still young.
Mm-hmm.
So for them to be able to get experience like this year, it's only going to make this team actually really, really good here next year, year 2. focusing on this year, I think it's just a little bit more leadership there to bring some of these young guys up to figure out how to do this together. And I think they'll be fine.
So for the Tulsa game, all right, if you would like to see one thing out of the Bearcats to show a big improvement in for them to win that Tulsa game, what would that one key be, Kevin?
I think that's going to come down to whoever defense is better. They got to have better defense than Tulsa that day.
Okay.
Tulsa is Tulsa. They're never going to be the best offensive unit, but they're going to play hard. They're going to be disciplined. They're going to have some players that make shots at the end. I actually just watched them against Memphis the other night. Struggled pretty much the whole game. And
saw that.
They turned around and a couple shots in, you know, they won by 10, and they did that all in 1 minute.
Yep.
So, you know, it's going to come down to who kind of that tougher team. We definitely should use Chris Vogt, get the ball into Chris Vogt. We got the size advantage. We got the size advantage almost every game. We really have to exploit it. For him to play 19 minutes with no points is, you know, kind of insane. So I think get him going again. And, you know, the other improvements that we made from last night's game, keep those going. And I think that's what Tulsa will come down to. This will be a dogfight.
I want to jump even further into the future, okay? And I want to ask you this question from a recruiting standpoint. This Bearcat basketball team, obviously you're going to lose Keith Williams. You're going to lose Chris Vogt. From a recruiting standpoint, you've got a lot of young guys coming back. Zach Harvey, still a sophomore right now. David Julius, Mike Saunders. You've got a lot of young guys. Tari, Mamadou, hopefully he comes back. You've got a lot of young guys who are going to get experience now, but to be back. From a recruiting standpoint, what would you like to see Coach Brandon and his staff focus in on to bring in for next season?
To be honest, you know, it's almost like, that's a tough question. It's a tough question because you won't have a lot of vets there, but you got a lot of pieces. Maybe someone who, maybe some grad transfers who can bring some leadership, but you'll have enough guys, I feel like, that'll have enough experience from this year to sustain and understand that, you know, I think this year what they learning is it's hard to win, and you got to figure actually how to win with your team. It just doesn't happen. Like, they don't give out wins, really. So just learning when to dig in, learning when to get that stop, learning when to shoot that three, and we need a big one, who we need to find. I think just all those in-sync things that just comes with time. They're learning this year, and I think next year it'll already flow a lot better. But if anything, for me, I would like to see a little bit more athleticism in the interior to go along with Eason. And I think that's, you know, kind of the Bearcat way. I think they got some guys who can shoot the ball. I think they're just finding some in-game rhythm right now. I know the Madison twins, I heard they can shoot the ball well. So like I said, next year they'll have guys ready, and Zach Harvey finding his shot now. We're seeing that now. So you know, you will have some pieces, and I think they'll already be kind of fit to a puzzle for next year. It's just finding some little pieces that can kind of elevate the team.
Now, I want to end the podcast here. I always end it with quick questions and quick answers, okay? So we're going to kind of be off the beaten path with this, all right? You ready?
Okay.
All right, quick questions, quick answers with Kevin Johnson. Number one, what is your favorite Air Jordan sneaker of all time?
I like the Jordan 1s.
Okay.
And then it came out with so many of them, but I am a Jordan 1 fan. I'm a Jordan 1 fan. They dropped so many. I like so many. But we're going to go with the 1. We're going to go with the 1.
Funny story real quick for you. So my senior night game, we played Louisville, and I wore the Jordan 1s for senior night. Just kind of like trying to bring my whole basketball career. You know, I'm an Air Jordan sneaker guy, so I that was going to be my last, game that I'd probably ever get in, not knowing what the NCAA would hold, but the NCAA tournament. So I said, I'm going to wear the Air Jordan sneakers, the ones for this game. And the crazy part about it, KJ, is I didn't have my original Air Jordan ones from back in the day. I had to really go back and find them. And the problem is when I played at UC, I wore a size 11.5 or 12, depending on the shoe. But I finally found my old shoes, and they were a size 9.5.
Oh, so, my God.
Bro, and you already know the Jordan 1's not an easy shoe to play in today's game, or even back when I played at the end of the 90s. And here I am playing in a size 9.5. Bro, it was like warm-ups were torture, man. It was torture.
Oh, man, that sounds crazy, Alex.
Hey, but I look good, though.
Jordan 1. Not Jordan 1.
All right, question number 2. If you could meet one person, it could be anybody, it could be famous, influential, politician, whatever. If you could meet one person, who would that be?
I'd like to meet Jay-Z.
Who's that?
Jay-Z.
Jay-Z?
Yeah.
Love it. He's one of my favorites. Why is that?
I know that'd be a good conversation.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That'd be a good conversation.
You could get a lot of gold nuggets from that guy right there. For sure.
Whatever a person asks, it'll be a good conversation.
Yep, absolutely. All right, third and final question. I think I know your answer, but I got to ask you anyway. So let's say that in your Bearcat career, would you rather have the game-winning shot, okay? And when I say game-winning shot, let's say it's against a, Savannah State or a Campbell team. Would you rather have the game-winning shot, or would you rather have a monster dunk that lives on a highlight reel in Bearcat history forever? Which one would you rather have? A game-winning shot against the Campbell, or that monster dunk that lives on?
I ain't gonna lie. I have to take the monster dunk that's gonna live. If the shot was a little bigger though. The shot was bigger, not against Campbell. It can't be against no Campbell, but the monster dunk. That sound about right.
No question. That dunk that Melvin Levitt had to beat Duke.
Yeah, that's just crazy.
Man, that lives. That will. I will live on for forever. So, I agree with you on that. I wish I could dunk consistently. I could dunk a little bit in college, but not. Couldn't really get up like that. But hey, KJ, I appreciate your time, man. I know you're busy. Hopefully your family's doing well. I know you got a kid to take care of and all that good stuff. So
yeah, man, everybody's well, and I'm actually about to go finish up some Christmas shopping. You know how that is. Okay,
good deal, man. Hey, man, gift cards. Just go online and get a bunch of gift cards and call it a day. That's what I do.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Makes it easy.
But I appreciate you.
Hey, listen, I want to end on this. I want to say, man, I'm so happy to watch your journey and the successes you've had, whether it was in high school, knowing you as a little kid and then seeing your success in high school and then your success in college, and then now you finding that next chapter, in your book and finding success with that. And, man, I wish you well. And hopefully, with this broadcasting thing, hopefully that leads to many more opportunities for you, and that continues to grow, man. And I know you can do it. Put your head down and work like you've always done.
Yes, sir, man. Yes, sir. And I appreciate it, man. And I appreciate all my OGs that help guide me and continue to teach me, man. So I appreciate you having me.
For sure, man. All right, KJ. Appreciate it, man. We'll catch up. We'll do this again soon, okay?
Okay. Sounds good, man. I appreciate it.
All right. Take care. All right.
Thanks. You too.
I want to thank everyone for listening to Season 2 of the Bearcat Basketball Podcast. Once again, you can follow me on social media. I'm on Twitter and Instagram at Alex_Meacham. Meacham spelled MEACHAM. I'm also on Facebook and LinkedIn, Alex Meacham. On Snapchat, Big Meach 41. And I'm now dancing on TikTok at Alex Meacham 41. I appreciate everyone listening to the Bearcat Basketball Podcast. Go Bearcats!